Welcome to CivilNet. My guest today is Gari Khayrabetian. He is the Armenia representative of the UNFPA here in Yerevan. Welcome to CivilNet. You're actually the assistant representative of the United Nations Population Fund. And we invited you here to our studios to talk about one of the most critical issues that is facing Armenia today, and that is the demographic situation. We have mass migration, we have labor migration, we have low fertility rates, and I believe we also have an aging population. And you are probably one of the foremost experts on the situation today in Armenia. Additionally, you are organizing a conference called Demographic Challenges in the Republic of Armenia. When the problem is so big today, how is it that a conference can begin to address some of the problems that we are facing?
Well, thank you first of all for inviting and giving me opportunity to express all those ideas and the importance of the conference itself at this period of time for Armenia. But I want to start from positive point of view. I should say that I am not taking demographic situation in Armenia as crisis.
You are not?
Yeah, no, I don't. And overall, the demography is itself a cyclical thing. It has ups and downs through the time. And our goal is to mitigate those ups and downs to the benefit of the society. So having said that, I have to say that, yes, the demographic situation is worrisome in Armenia because we have all three indicators of demographic situation worsening. That said, they are the fertility rate decreased almost twice after the independence. That's the high level of migration, and that's also aging, as you very rightly mentioned. And all three indicators are giving us thought that we have to be worried and we have to act.
Okay, just for our audience, we talk about numbers very loosely, but since independence 22 years ago, there are figures that suggest that anywhere from 700,000 to 1.3 million people have left the country. And if we look at figures, especially following the financial global crisis in 2008-2009, those figures of people leaving Armenia are on the rise again. At one point we were in a negative and it was stable, but now once again we're seeing this. So are we in the 22-year period, where are we in that cycle if migration is now continuing to increase again?
Well, yes, you're right from the point of view that we had cycles of increasing and decreasing of migration. The most amount of people we lost, it was 92, 95.
Those 3 years?
Yeah, when we had really mass migration, out-migration from the country. And for the known reasons, the war, difficult situation.
Cold and dark years, energy crisis.
That was kind of escape for people just to find the way for living. Which pretty much the same here now as well, but then after 95 we had kind of stabilized negative saldo of migration again up to 2000, and then starting from 2001, 2002 the negative saldo has started to decrease, and up to 2006-07 we had almost, even at some time we had a very little positive saldo of migration. And then the financial crisis came. After financial crisis, we had negative saldo again, and it's pretty stable. What's good about that? Overall, it's negative process, of course, but what's good? It's pretty stable. It's about 40,000 people per year negative saldo of moving people to and from Armenia. Unfortunately, there is no reliable data or no data which is giving us more quantitative understanding of what's going on with migration. What we have only the overall amount of people arrived to the country and left from all possible border points. But recently, for the last 2 years, we can also differentiate between Armenians and non-Armenians, citizens and not citizens, I would say. But this still doesn't give us the qualitative.
And based on that information, then you could conceptualize and develop programs on how to mitigate them. But when you don't know, you just have very black and white numbers. How do you deal with the situation?
Exactly. And there are two things that I want to mention in this regard. The first, in 2013, our Armenian government, for the first time, has allocated some money to have the nationwide migration quantitative and qualitative survey. And with the help of some international organization, the survey is ongoing now. And I hope very much that by the end of the year, we will have at least the preliminary results of that survey.
And that would help your organization?
That will help all of us, first of all, to understand better what's the situation is about this, because everybody talks about that, but not real data and evidence is available there to decide or to take a decision. And the second thing, I would come now to our conference on October 8th, which will take place here in Armenia. 3 topics out of 5 that are going to be presented in that conference are about migration. And all 3 are about the qualitative surveys. That's about uprooting of migrant families. That's about changing reproductive behavior of migrant families, and that's about the who else migrate. In other words, the incentives. What are the incentives? How the migration pattern change from low quality to high quality, from low education to higher education, and what is better, what is worse from economic, social, and security point of view.
It's important also that I think we mentioned that today in Armenia, as I would argue in most post-Soviet states, as in in the developing world, we have a large percentage of labor migrants who go to Russia to work seasonally. And that we've seen the patterns over the years. But what's interesting now, I think, is that whereas the father, the husband, the man, the son, and the family would go to Russia to work because the overriding majority of labor migrants are men, there's a small percentage of women. What we're seeing now, especially from the villages, is that they are uprooting their entire families now and moving, whereas before they had a connection, they would send in the remittances, and just the remittances alone is a whole other issue when it's almost 20% of GDP, 1.6 billion annually, coming, 80% of it coming from Russia. Is this tendency not worrisome?
That's what I was trying to express. Exactly, that's very worrisome, but we don't have the real understandable evidence. That's why we are undertaking all these actions to try to understand what are the incentives for the migrant families to join their fathers or husbands. What is the qualitative kind of context of this moving? These are 2 things that we are exactly will be discussing during our conference based on the research done. And after that, maybe we could start to understand what concrete and real policies we have to do. I want also to add something. Armenia has kind of moved forward since the independence, since those very hard days, and we are in better condition today than we've been 15, 20 years ago. Being objective. And Armenia is, even by the World Bank classification, a middle-income country. Lower middle-income country, but still middle-income country. So the issue is that this country doesn't have very much anymore the humanitarian type of support. This country needs developmental type of support. And for that, this country needs a lot of research, a lot of data, a lot of understanding, and we are really lacking the reliable data in this country in order to understand what should be the pattern of
aid, of development
successful, sustainable development. So we have to kind of refocus ourselves from humanitarian, though it doesn't mean that we have to stop it completely, but I mean it's about the
Yeah, I understand. I understand completely.
How much we should put there as humanitarian, and how much we should put in advocacy, policy making, policy advice, data gathering, and analysis of the situation, analysis of the data, which will give us understanding of how we are moving after all.
Okay, one of the papers that are going to be presented, which is interesting to me because this is a topic that is usually taboo, that we don't like to talk about, but it's contraception and abortion in a low fertility setting, the role of seasonal migration. This is a problem in Armenia, is it not? I mean, what is the fertility rate now?
The fertility rate now is 1.56.
1.56.
Yeah, which is pretty low and which is far lower than the simple reproduction rate. For that, we need 2.1. So that one family, man and woman, just reproduce themselves.
We're not even reproducing ourselves at this point.
Exactly. We are not reproducing ourselves at this point, and that's the reason, and also the migration adds to that, why in 2017 Armenia's natural growth will become already negative. So in 4 years we will be in negative national growth, which is worrisome. No doubt about that. As far as the abortion is concerned, I have to say that we have pretty good achievements here. We are having 3 consecutive demographic and health surveys, which is very big, very comprehensive survey done every 5 years, 2000, 2005, and 2010. And the tendency shows that the abortion rate is going down, and the contraceptive usage is going up. Not in the same way that one would balance the other, but still, that's the achievement. And this is very important for one very simple thing. Having a very low fertility rate and being concerned about the national security, about decreasing and the amount of people in the country, we are having another survey of ours showing that we are having about 14% of secondary infertility in the country, which is the consequences of 2 things: abortion first, and secondly, the sexually transmitted infections. So are we in a position to lose this 14%? That's the question, and how we have to address that. That's, yes, we have some kind of achievements, but we still have a long way to go to really fix the situation and use the full potential of our families who want to have more children to support and help them.
Yeah, I think just to put it into its proper context for our viewers, I think it's important to mention that for many, many years in Armenia, abortion was used as a measure of fertility regulation. And that is
as
why
a contraception,
as a contraception,
I would say.
Yeah, which is what I meant, and so and that was creating all of the health-related issues, as you mentioned earlier. So it is a positive trend that we're seeing that, because at some point we were reading that a woman in her reproductive years could have up to multiple abortions and dangerous to her health, to her families.
The average amount is 2.5 per woman on her reproductive life. With this, if I may, I just want to add another thing. To increase the fertility, when we are talking about demographic crisis...
That was going to be my next question. I was going to say, I don't know if you have a magic wand, so but how do you do that?
I'm jumping.
That's okay, we're both jumping.
At least we are in the same direction. When we are talking about the demographic crisis, the important things, the first thing comes to the mind, to the government, society, whoever, that's increasing the fertility. But increasing fertility is a really, really hard thing. And it doesn't pay off, really. I mean, if you don't take it very, very seriously. There are 2 countries which have succeeded more or less. That's France and Sweden.
France and Sweden?
Yeah. France, for the last 60 years, spending 3.2% of its GDP on those projects.
On increasing fertility?
Oh, yeah, on supporting families for more children. And it has a lot of social programs, projects to support that. While Sweden also spending a lot of money on that, but never targeted increasing fertility itself. What have been target of Swedish policy was the gender equality. The link is here. I mean, that may sound very strange, but link is here. I mean,
We're treading into funny waters here, Gary.
Well, I want to talk about this because people have to understand that gender is good thing. Actually, it's not what the noise all about.
Gender means sex. We're talking about gender equality.
We're talking about but I mean the word gender, which irritates everybody.
Yeah, well,
we're talking gender equality. Exactly.
I'm going to invite you for another interview to talk about.
I mean, with pleasure. See, what they try to do is to bring into balance the work and life, meaning that they have created a situation when women are not anymore afraid that having children will impact their career, their growth, their development, their freedom, whatever. And having targeted that sector of the policy, they have got results on completely different things. And they are within 20 years, this is the shortest possible time frame still in the history, they have been able to increase the fertility from 1.52 to 1.93.
So almost at the rate
almost at reproductive,
in 20 years' time. Yeah. So it is possible to do.
Exactly, but you have to be
smart
serious,
policies.
Smart policies.
You have to spend the money.
Yeah, committed and continuous, sustainable.
Yep. Right.
If you are doing that, then you may have chances to succeed in that field. So that's very important, that making all equal, feeling equally secure from all perspective of the life, it's also fires back in positive meaning on the family life.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I think Armenia and Armenian legislators and the Armenian sort of intellectual elite and those who make policy really should take away from these experiences that have positive impacts on society and on fertility rates, obviously, which is a very serious issue that we have today. Thank you very much for coming, Garik. It was very enlightening, very positive, even amidst some of the scary numbers that we read. As you said, once we do have the right data, the right analysis, then we can start developing and conceptualizing the programs that need to be implemented.
Being scared doesn't help. We have
to
act.
That's right.
So thank you for the invitation, and I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to remind everybody that my guest was Garik Hayrabetyan. He is the Assistant Representative of the UNFPA in Yerevan. They will be holding a conference on October 8 at the Marriott Hotel entitled Demographic Challenges in the Republic of Armenia. Thank you for watching CivilNet.